Hello and welcome to the Logistics Business virtual show. I hope you're enjoying our exhibits and the rest of the facilities of the virtual show. We have, as you know, a wide program of expert panels, and this panel concerns software, which of course is an integral and essential part of any logistics operation or process in today's world. And what we wanted to address was some of the buzzwords and the jargon that one constantly sees in logistics. And maybe it might be helpful to have some of them defined a bit more clearly for us, because I know as a logistics media professional, I see these words all the time and I still don't know what some of them are. So it'll be helpful for me if for nobody else. If you have questions for our panel of experts, please do use the text facility, the live chat facility, which is on the screen there. And our experts will do their best to answer for you. Our panel is varied, it's global, from all over the world. So what I'll do is I'll ask everyone to introduce themselves briefly, and then we'll start getting into some of these buzzwords. So Guido, let me start with you, if you introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everyone. Hi, my name is Guido Breckelsberg. I'm one of the co-founders of Setlock. We offer supply chain management software here based in Germany, and well, we're a US-German software company. So up to
Fantastic. Thank you, Guido. Tony?
Hi there, my name's Tony Dobson. I'm CEO of Synergy Logistics. We supply Snap Fulfilled WMS. We're based in the UK, in Castle Donington, and have several offices in the US.
Fantastic. And Diana?
Hi, my name is Diana Geiger. I work for Sixfold and I'm leading the customer operations department there. We are part of the Transporon group and do real-time visibility.
Fantastic. And Matthew?
Hi, Paul. Matthew Elanchikal. I am the founder and CEO of 4Kites. We are a real-time supply chain visibility platform based out of Chicago. Excited to be here.
Thank you. And last but not least, from Moscow, Vladimir.
Hi, my name is Vladimir. I'm a Senior Vice President in First Line Software. We are a global software engineering company headquartered in the United States.
Okay, fantastic. So, as I said, our plan is not to discuss the big issues of the day, although we might get onto that, but simply to go through some of the buzzwords that exist in logistics software today. So let's start with, I've got a list in front of me. Let's start with big data. Vladimir, why don't you start us off with that? What is big data? What does it mean? Yeah,
that basically really is probably top of buzzwords in software engineering because everybody is saying, okay, let's do a big data. What do you mean? Basically, yeah, when we're talking about big data, it's quite broad story. The important thing, it's all about really a huge amount of data you are going to manage, understand, analyze, and so on and so forth. So around this big data, we have building of huge data lakes, which are combining all structured, unstructured data, a lot of stuff in terms of understanding of this data, classification of this data, and on top of that, analysis of this data and getting a value of this data. Very important is first, huge amount of data. Second, it's how to get value out of all this data. That's probably how I can briefly explain it all. But there are a huge amount of different technologies around that, and a lot of even specializations. There are data scientists, data engineers, data managers, and so on and so forth. A lot of people working around data. Kind of that.
That was great. Does anybody want to expand on what Vladimir said?
That's good.
Everyone seems happy. I mean, machine learning is similar, isn't it? A similar sort of area. So let's look at that as well. How about Guido? Why don't you talk about that for us?
Well, with machine learning, as you rightly said, you need a lot of data, and this is, somewhere in our particular field that we find. I think we're not the best to approach because we take data out of the ERP system of our customers. But I look at, for example, Matt and the lady from Sixfold. Sorry, the girl from because you guys obviously take a lot of data, real-time tracking data. I think you're the much better experts, to really talk about and indulge in that. I feel.
Diana, you tell us about that then.
Yes, so actually machine learning, I think, is really the key to automating processes in our view. And one very important thing that is sometimes forgotten about is that the quality of data is really decisive here. So So you have to make sure that the quality of data is very good, and you just not have only quantity, but also good quality.
And how do you go about doing that?
Well, you need, first of all, your setup and how you get the data needs to be quite focused on the quality you want to achieve. So that's the entire technical setup that you're building. And then, of course, a lot of effort goes into cleansing the data, filtering it, taking only what you know will produce good results. And nevertheless, I think machine learning, we are somehow especially in logistics, there's a bit of respect for that, or maybe a bit of fear sometimes, because there's all this big data flowing around, and also there's a fear of data sharing sometimes because it might be to my disadvantage. But in fact, I think it's the only global way to analyze data. So whenever you work with experience or feelings, you might miss out the chance to look at certain areas that are in the dark. So machine learning looks at all your data and learns from it. And I think this is really, really what we need for prediction, for automation, and in the end, to grow a company. The only key issue here is that you need the good quality data.
But are we all agreed around the table that machine learning is very much here to stay?
Yeah. Probably I would add that important to understand that machine learning is not connected to a strict algorithm. So a lot of people are thinking that machine learning is similar to some strict algorithm, but in general, it's a black box. And learning here is a key word because it's a system which starts understanding. There is no strict algorithm inside. It starts really understanding some things and predict and so on and so forth. So that's very important.
Right. Okay, moving on. Another word that we see everywhere in logistics, and people, it might be, maybe it's clear what people think, but digital transformation or perhaps digital adoption. Tony, you have a go at that one for us.
Digital transformation is becoming more and more important to us as companies like ourselves try to expand into the software world. I mean, basically, it's using the tools and facilities that you've got on your software, and basically the way we look at it is it's an easy way for us to implement anywhere in the world. So we really have got digital adoption and digital transformation by basically throwing the tree away and throwing those pieces of paper away and trying to make sure that everything is on your device so that you can learn from that. And we really are using some really cracking products like WalkMe and stuff like that and TeachMe that basically help people in warehouses. If you've got, for an example, somebody who's just come in and doesn't know what to do, we're overlaying these products on top so that the guy can just pick a device up and go away and learn on the hoof. And we can also do that with our software on laptops and PCs. So this digital transformation and digital learning is really, really coming up more and more in logistics, and it's saving a fortune in training and adoption time.
Thank you. Anybody want to add anything to that?
I think especially in logistics, sometimes it feels like we're a little bit behind everybody else. So it's a very old school industry. So there's still a huge growth potential for digital transformation in logistics. And I think that by now, most companies have realized that it's not really the question if you want to play and if you want to go into this digital transformation process, but it's just a question when and how you will manage it.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you look at businesses in the past, and logistics was always at the end and the back end, and everybody who wasn't that good ended up in logistics, and the sexy end was all selling and the information there and order management and sort of warehousing and logistics is the great unknown, and it's the great potential to improve businesses and efficiencies. And we're now seeing with labour shortages just how crucial it is and where the savings can be. And I think this digital transformation is enabling businesses to get more and more efficient in the logistics area. And the information that this is sprouting up is then going into these guys' products and being analysed. And I think that's where you'll get the real savings, putting those little percentage points off here and there.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
Yeah,
Another big word.
Can I add, because I think to me it's very important. I think it has to do a lot with change of mindset.
Yeah.
And we talk about a lot of digital transformation, and it's all super, and people tend to forget and it means like we have to do everything new, and this is a reflex a lot of people have. I think the secret to really successful digital transformation is to preserve the old knowledge, because that is there, and this is why so many people feel lost. To take that on board and move that forward and say, it's not a contradiction in terms. You say new technology and old expertise that is there. That's what we find a lot with our customers. Say, here you can digitize, but it's about collaboration. This is where it's preserving your knowledge and putting that into the future, and that is very important. And the logistics industry is something, as you rightly say, they are a little bit behind, when it comes to that. And I think this is all our task as well. And Diana, you put it right. It's there, and we need to promote it. And this is part of our job as well. I feel personally. So
yeah, well, let me speak to the rest of the panel about that. What are the fears that you commonly find from customers about making this change? As you say, it requires a change of mindset.
Yeah.
What do you find they're frightened of? I mean, let's come to you, Matthew, on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. All these buzzwords, even though we call them buzzwords, they are all interconnected, right?
Yeah, sure.
To do digital transformation, machine learning plays a part, and for machine learning, you need big data, right? So this is all interconnected. And when I think about logistics and supply chain broadly, the reason why we believe or we feel this industry has been behind the curve, if you will, it's because of the fragmentation, right? When you think about logistics, in trucking, you have, I don't know, so many millions of trucking companies all over the world. And when you think about technologies, it's again very fragmented, right? You have transportation technologies, warehouse technologies, order management, yard management, inventory management. It's all siloed applications. And the fragmentation in technology and the fragmentation when it comes to technology and fragmentation when it comes to providers, I think that is what is really, contributed to the lag, if you will, when compared to some other industries. And you add that to some of the ways by which we were operating supply chains, like just in time. All those things are out, right? In the last 18 months, it's not just in time anymore. It is just in case. So the fragmentation, different applications running in silos, and the new normal, if you will, those are all the things that we see why we are in this place.
Okay, thank you, Vladimir. This question of customer fears, how would you address that?
I know. I would probably say that a lot of companies really miss. A lot of companies are thinking that if you are, installing WMS in your warehouse, you start to be digital. It's not true, completely not true, because it's just automation of your processes. So important in digital transformation is that your company should start to be data-driven. Let's say it like that. Yeah, and what Matthew said basically is this interoperability of the whole entire process inside of the company, in logistics as well. Yeah, interoperability of data in all of different systems and aspects working of your company will push you to become a digital company. Yeah, and that's very important. And still, up until now, a lot of customers really don't feel this change, and therefore they think that okay, I will install CRM, I will install WMS. Now I'm digital, now everything will be good for me. Nothing will change. I mean, you just automate a part of your existing business. If your processes are good, maybe it will help you, but it's not to push you to be a digital.
It's interesting, what it reminds me of is when people wanted to be on cloud, they used to take the on-prem systems and host it on cloud and say, hey, we are in cloud, right? So that is what, yeah, so it reminds me of.
Exactly.
Sure. Anything to add on that, Tony, about customer fears?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear in the whole supply chain at the moment. I think the new normal has been mentioned already in COVID. and the way there is a rush to e-commerce, and the way that B2B and the high street are suffering all around the world now. I mean, we in the UK and in Europe are very much leaders in the e-com field, particularly in the UK. And the amount of pressure we're getting from people to transform, and the fears of the customer to online is incredible. I mean, the transformation we've done in some businesses is amazing. And I think this is the real pressure in the new normal is people are going digital and people are going online. People are all working from home now. They've got a lot more time, and they're sat there waiting for their orders. I sit here looking out my window and I see a procession of white vans delivering people. And that is our challenge in the supply chain is how do we do that? How do we get visibility, and how do we control that absolute almost right turn that we've had in the last 2 years?
Sure. I mean, this word new normal, you've given us a start there, Tony, on what it means in logistics and the logistics industry. Anybody else want to chip in on what the new normal is within the logistics sector, beyond what Tony said about visibility and remote working, e-commerce, etc.?
I mean, when we talk about, I think the complexity of business models has increased tremendously. And that has started to increase, a few years back.
What do you mean in terms of, sorry, Guido, do you mean in terms of
the business model of our customers, for example? You got online, offline, you got offline, then you got online, you got so many new business models, you got so much new technology, to our customers that are available out there. So the good old days of doing trade and, doing business, this has become far more complex. Now we've got COVID and, all the supply chain disruptions. And this is what we have with many of our customers. They go like, now they're daunted by all the problems, by all the complexities. Where do I start? And, some have been laggards in terms of, adopting technology. That's also been an issue. And I think this is where also, probably it's our part as well, to see where can we combine software offerings? How can we make it easier? Because it is a very, very complex situation. And the new normal means there's a lot of pressure out there.
Sure. Okay. So we're hearing a lot about consolidation there. Okay. So a key word is visibility, isn't it? That's not only a buzzword, it's something that's, enshrined in modern logistics. Let's hear what that actually means. Matthew, you tell us about visibility, and maybe I'll come to a couple of others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we think about visibility, it is knowing exactly what is happening in your supply chain any given time, and also knowing the right amount of information, right, for the right parties at the right time. That is very important. So that's the way we think about it. Now, when we think about visibility, at least in the industry publications, we tend to think of it as transportation visibility. Where's my truck? Where's my train? Right? Where's a ship? Where's an airplane? Whatever it is. But the message we are conveying to the market is that doesn't mean anything, right? Just knowing where the truck is, it's useless. Or knowing where the train, it's useless. It's all about knowing where the products are, whether it is sales order or purchase order, right, or the SKU level data. Knowing where that product is, in that end-to-end supply chain, that is super important. It might be in a truck, it might be sitting in the yard waiting to be unloaded. It might be sitting in a warehouse, it might be sitting in a store. You don't know, but having that product SKU level visibility across the entire end-to-end supply chain beyond transportation, that is what visibility really means. And that's when you can really drive value. Just, tracking trucks on a map doesn't mean anything. So.
Right, thank you for that, Diana. Sorry, I should say. Give me some expansion on that from your point of view, from Sixfold's point of view.
Yes, so very much aligned with what Matthew said, and we have made the similar experiences with our customers that just a track on the map by itself does not provide any value. So what is visibility then? I think the key here is the predictive part as well. So not only what is happening now, but where will this SKU or this truck be in an hour? Will it be on time? Will it be late? Will it maybe arrive to a different place? And actually this knowledge is what we need to really optimize processes within companies. So to optimize logistics processes, supply chain processes. And that's actually where we see a huge potential for our customers. And every customer is different. So everyone has different areas, what they want to optimize. So some go in the direction of warehouse optimization, and others want to excel at customer service. So they want to really inform their customers very early and provide them with every information they can. Others want to collaborate with suppliers, want to collaborate with several parties to have their processes aligned within a group of companies. So there's a huge value in that. And the basis of all of this is visibility. What is going on now? Where is everything? And the 360-degree overview of that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you for that. Moving on, here's a phrase I need to have explained, and I'm going to come to you, Guido. API first.
Well, I think we talked about it. It's like, you have to push data back and forward. And we said, Matt said it was so fragmented, the market. And this is what I mean, like, we have to tie up our offerings in order to give the best value to the customer. So what is the best value if you have in transparency is like, make data move and make a data move in a way that is automated. So you have an automated process integration that is there. So and enable us on the one hand to say that, but that means then talking to customers, say like, if you want to have your very pink castle with a lake and a lot of trees around and some deer and all that, that is very beautiful. And we all feel very at home there, but nevertheless, that'll make it very difficult if you just have a wooden hut, to exchange data. This is where I think it's an educational process for us. And I think all of us know, and I see the smiles, that then you got especially larger customers say like, yeah, but I have this very special process. I need to have it implemented. And we say like, no, that's very, yes, we can do that. And everyone, of course, we can do that. But are you well advised to do it? Or is it better to keep more at the best practice level at a standardized workflow, which will then enable you to tie in other systems?
So are you saying in those circumstances, they want to stick with an existing workflow and you're suggesting they should change it according to you?
I think that's a huge change. I mean, I'm in this business, for almost 20 years now doing, SKU, visibility. Yeah, and in global supply chains. And I think it's really changing. And we get more and more customers to say like, I'd rather stick to a best practice workflow, or I start off with that. And I rather enjoy tying in expert services, for example, like a 4Kites or a Sixfold that you guys offer. So like, because you add a tremendous value if you do that. Yeah, and this is what I think we see it in the B2C world. I mean, today, PayPal, everything is integrated, and Aiden that as a payment service, you do it.
Just define B2C. Just define B2C, what you mean by that.
Business, a lot of B2C are business to consumer, models, business models. You have a lot of data exchange. So you have automated processes. You go like, for example, if you use HubSpot as a CRM system, I got so many other added value services that are being tied in via an API. It's super. It's brilliant. So I really, thrive my job on additional data that I can get or services. In the B2B world, that's extremely difficult because all companies say like, well, we got an ERP system that has a different configuration. I've got some specialities in there. And we're not saying get rid of all the specialities, just rather define what is the value of the speciality in your business workflow, in your business process that you have until this day operated on. Do you really need it? Or do you like cut it off? And what do you get in return?
Sure.
Yeah, this is something this is something, the API first, we have some strong views on this. So first of all, we hear about API first quite a bit, right, these days, but APIs have been around for a long time, right? For those of us who have been in the industry, like all the systems, all the technologies out there, they had published APIs, but for some reason in the marketing, lingo, it's coming up quite often these days. So that is number one. The second point is, it's very important to really educate the market on whether, API first is applicable across the industry, right? So when you think about trucking, for example, the small trucking companies, they have no technology. right? They're still dispatching using a whiteboard or a post-it note, and you can write an API to a whiteboard, right? So I think, making people understand that, okay, there are limitations to APIs, right? Both the parties have to have some technology to make it happen. Just because I want API first doesn't mean all my vendors, are API capable. Those are the things I think, hopefully the industry can talk more about it, and it doesn't become a burden, right? To a trucking company with one truck. If we go and tell them, hey, connect me via an API, they'll be out of business pretty soon.
Sure. So that brings me on to sort of challenges. Let me go around the panel. What's the biggest challenge facing you at the moment in being successful in your business? Start with Tony.
People at the moment. I think the labour shortages and the skill shortages, that is the biggest challenge stopping us growing our business at the moment. You'd want to say in a technology-based business like ours that it'd be technology or there's something in the way. We've all got onto cloud, but really it's that skill and knowledge of people. I think people are becoming very centric to everything we do. There's developer shortages all over the world, and logistics business particularly is suffering from labour shortages of actual physical people to do stuff. But the providers like ourselves, and I'm sure the other guys in the panel will say, it's people now that's causing the technology bottlenecks.
Diana, let's come to you on that. Challenges in your business.
I would say especially now, also facing this COVID and all the disruptions that come with it, there's a lot of insecurity around, and people being overwhelmed with the decisions they have to take, and also reluctant to make investments, so to say, so to really put resources on a digitization project. On the one hand, they feel the pressure to do it. On the other hand, they feel other pressures as well. And they need a lot of guidance from us. So we really have to show them the benefits, the value of digitization, of optimization, of process automation, that it makes sense to invest in that because it can deal with disruptions much better than what they're doing now. And just this process is sometimes quite slow, or slower than we would like to move.
Sure. Okay, Vladimir?
Positive challenge, I would say, is that at the moment, especially probably pushed by new normal time, demand is very huge. I mean, demand on IT services, demand on what we all the companies are providing. Yeah, because companies suddenly understood that they're sitting at home, their clients are sitting at home, they need somehow to communicate with them, they need somehow to provide services. They can do it only being digital, and they start investing in digitalization. So, and for us, of course, it's a good story. Another story is that, keeping in mind that we're all sitting remotely, we are, I would say, losing in all this, people-to-people communication, which is very important in our business development. Even if you all are digital, I'm talking about IT, discussing of quite complex questions, especially when we're talking about implementation of some, big change in digital transformation of companies and supply chain. From time to time, it's important to sit in one room, write something down on a whiteboard and so on and so forth. When we are all sitting in Zoom, it starts to be not so efficient, and it's really quite a global issue at the moment, I would say it like that. So we are all facing it.
Matthew?
Yeah, I agree with all the points so far. If I may add one thing, it is the speed at which market is evolving. We haven't seen this kind of the fast pace, right, in supply chain yet. It's also an opportunity. If you can stay ahead of the curve, you can really really come out right with some successful transformative products as well. But the speed is something that that is a challenge and an opportunity when we look at it.
And Guido?
I think the biggest challenge is really the complexity of the situation that many of the people have to deal with, that we talk to, and also the lack of not being able to talk personally, or just not at any time, as Vladimir said. You're missing something. it has a good side. You can really do a lot of, I think a lead generation, or, getting into contact with customers is a lot easier than it used to be. And the good side is you don't have to travel. You can have video calls and it's completely accepted. And I think that's also on a broader scale extremely helpful. But on the other end, we still like it. Sometimes we miss it. The same as we talked before. Are you still 100% home office, or do you come back to the office? I mean, we're human beings. We need to talk. We need to talk face to face, and to come to the best solution. So it has an upside and a downside.
Let's say I'm a customer looking to optimize my processes, and I know that software and you guys are going to play a major role in that. What would you advise me to do before I speak to you? What are the tips you would give me to make that process easier? Let's start with Matthew on that one.
Absolutely. So I think, at the end of the day, the software has to solve a business problem or a pain point. So having a clear vision as to what exactly are you trying to achieve from a business standpoint, that is very important. Second is, is organization ready for it? I think, some of the panelists mentioned about change management, right? Where we have seen software fail is you implement everything, but then you can't get adoption internally. So is the organization ready for the change management? That is super important. And then, the rest is, it's all, plain vanilla stuff, right? Where, you go through a vendor selection, selecting the right vendor. But I think the cultural fit is super important between, you and the software vendor. Because many times in the SaaS world, it is not just one and done, right? You're really building a relationship with your software vendor because you have a lot of those things are very important. So I think that cultural fit is super important. So yeah, I mean, do you have a clear vision on what you want to do? Is the organization ready for the change management and all the things that will come with it? And what is the cultural fit between you and the vendor? Those are three things that that I can think of.
Powerful. Tony, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the points made, I completely agree with. I mean, I was with a potential client yesterday, a massive 3PL, and we've been talking to them for 2 years. A year ago, I had a meeting with them. 2 months ago, I had a meeting with them. Yesterday, they actually admitted that their organization was ready for change now, and before wasn't. And I think that's what these organizations have got to realize is we do this all the time, they don't. And they've got to be ready and understand what this change means and what their fears are. And a lot of companies now are analyzing that a lot more because the fear of failure is massive and people aren't making decisions in the past because of that. But I think people are being more courageous now and making decisions when they're not ready as organizations and they're not ready themselves. And it's refreshing to talk to an organization like that, and it's coming more and more common now where the fears are going away and the reality and the savings and the ROIs and the little percentage points I can make in efficiency are all really, really important in this very competitive world and this change world we find ourselves in.
Yeah, Diana, that kind of echoed the point you made about sometimes you want to move faster than your kind of client is able to. I think Tony's a similar sort of issue that Tony's referred to there. What advice would you give to a customer who's in that position of looking to embark on making this change? In addition, if there's anything in addition to those very comprehensive suggestions that Matthew and Tony have said.
Yes, maybe one point which is very similar to that. So are they really committed to embark on this journey together? So they have to understand that it's not pushing a button or installing a software like maybe 20 years ago that was the case when they bought some new software. It's a whole change management process, and they need to be willing to commit to that. That would be the main message, I think. And these customers have been very, very successful in implementing everything we can offer, as opposed to the ones that are sort of still a bit reluctant to really invest and think that it will be done for them somehow. But it's really very much self-motivated as well.
Sure. Vladimir?
I would say, important here is if you are the customer, you shouldn't be afraid to fail, because it's very important. And you know, a lot of clients are failing when they start, you know, doing all these long cycles. Like now I'm planning everything. After that, I will build everything. Then I will install it, and only after that I will show it to the world. And then they fail because nobody needs what they developed, for example. Yeah, and even in, I don't know, warehouse management system, we're always pushing to show what will happen with warehouse to all warehouse people as soon as it's possible. To show them, I don't know, mock-ups, to show them some screens, give them ability to touch it, because you are integrating warehouse management system to be more efficient, and it means that it should be very useful for end users, but not for you as a, I don't know, warehouse logistic director, for example. Yeah, and if you think that it's good, it might be really bad for the entire team. So it's important, you know, like a build, try, learn, and make it in a cycle all the time, and improve, improve, improve. Don't be afraid to fail in some of these steps.
Great. Guido, have you got anything to add to this comprehensive?
Well, not really. Just to say, like, you know, as Matt says, you know, the pain points, and Corona has really probably pushed the pain points or the point of pain beyond what is bearable. And this is what we find. And there's huge demand for what people say. They tend to become less creative and rather say, like, how would you do it? And this is, you know, this is, and because let's say, like, you know, this is how others have done it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the right for you, but let me explain it to you why the other customers have done it that way. And I think that willingness to listen, and that has really increased. And that is important. I think there's a willingness to really to listen and say, like, okay, I know I have my workflows, and we're not judging whether they're right or wrong because they're there for a very good reason. And these are all successful companies, but it's like, okay, there's a point beyond. Yeah, you need to improve because you see other business model all of a sudden improving. And that mindset of change, I think that's what we're seeing a lot with customers. And I think that's very important, and that's very good. I personally believe we're going to very productive time when it comes to that, with many companies that are really willing to change and, you know, change successful ways of doing business, but let's say elevating them to the next level.
Sure. Yeah, I was taught a very good line by a sports coach once, who said, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And I think that's very appropriate in this kind of stuff that you're talking about, you know. Listen, this is another big word, and this isn't a buzzword. This is an important word. It's going to affect every company. Sustainability. We know that there are government set net zero targets. We know that this stuff matters and it's important. So what role can supply chain software play in this? What does sustainability basically mean in this sector? I'd love to get all of your views on that and how relevant you think it is. So maybe start with you, Diana.
Yeah, we have seen that it has huge impact at the moment. So a lot of customers, both shippers, carriers, LSPs, all participants are very interested in sustainability topics. And I think software, especially visibility software, because I know this one very well, it can really help you, first of all, to understand where you are. So that's something that most companies already are missing. So what is my baseline? And then to understand how can I become more sustainable and how can I cut emissions, especially in logistics. And there are a lot of, there's a lot of potential in increasing the, let's say, capacity and reducing empty mileage on a global level for a platform like ours, which has or also for Kites, which combines a lot of players into a large network. There you can really have cumulative effects, and you can actually save a lot of CO2 just by suggesting the right combinations of lanes, carriers, shippers. So I think there's huge potential there. And now we also see the willingness of the customers to invest in that.
Probably because they have to. Yeah. Vladimir.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Vladimir, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, basically, kind of all buzzwords we already today said, it's a part of, you know, path to sustainability as well. Yeah, because if you are data driven, if you are digital, if you are optimized, if you are agile in some way. Yeah, if you are focusing on all of this stuff, yeah, sustainability will come to you anyway, because yeah, you will be more efficient in this part. So I would say that definitely, yeah, what we all are doing in digital transformation and supply chain specifically, yeah, it's just one of elements of all this ecosystem and sustainability.
Okay, Guido.
Well, let's put it that way. I think, there are three levels of sustainability that you have. We have the social sustainability, you have the ecological sustainability, and you got the economic, the financial sustainability of companies as well. And you think you have the three of them. And, this is what we offer in our offering with our supply chain software. That's very important to us to bring that along. If you have collaboration, if you connect, if you create transparency, if you share workflows, if you integrate, then you manage to get slack out of the supply chain. Slack in terms of ecological waste that you do not need. Yeah, if you can avoid an air freight from Asia and put that on a sea level, you get very different, a very different CO2 footprint. Just because maybe very early on in the process something went wrong. So if you make that transparent, you really have a positive impact. The same as the social impact. If you integrate in our platform, suppliers and the customers can collaborate, you integrate your workflows, you share best practices, that will have a positive impact on the relationship that you have. And what we currently see is a lack of trust. There's a lot of insecurity in global supply chains. This is what we see. And, it all adds up, has a very positive effect to the financial economic sustainability, because this is what we're all in as well. Sometimes people tend to forget, and a lot of customers says, hey, I am under a lot of pressure, but doing things like that, it will have a positive impact on your bottom line as well. And that's very important to get the CFO who has to spend money on anything, in the boat of the CEO. But this is what people more and more, start to understand.
Thank you, Guido. Tony?
It's not as relevant to me as the other guys. I think they're making a bigger difference with the visions and the pictures that they see. But in the warehouse sense, we've just done an application for a government grant, and that was all about actually saving people traveling to warehouses was one of our big things, and becoming more efficient use of space in there, so that things don't need to move as fast and as often or build as many warehouses. And that's what we're looking at, is becoming extremely efficient. I mean, most warehouses are full of space. They're not full of product, and they're not full of people. So it's all about how we get, automation in there. We've talked about AMRs in our industry, and how we can save people walking 14 miles a day in an Amazon warehouse. How do we stop them doing that? How do we get more efficient, and therefore need less people? Because that sustainability to me is all we can do in the warehouse, is just pack it more efficiently and get less people working there more efficiently. And that's
no, thank you. It's a great answer. And finish with Matthew on that one.
Yep. So a lot of great points. When you think about sustainability or greenhouse, gas emissions, I would say logistics, right? It's one of the primary contributors, especially in the trucking world.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of focus on sustainability from that we are hearing and seeing from the industry. So I think at a high level, couple of things that can really help companies understand, right? If they can contribute to a sustainable world. Number one is, are they selecting the right mode of transportation, right? Truck versus train, because intermodal or train, it is more a sustainable way of transportation. Are they, take the right route, right? Is it a longer distance or is it an optimal distance, right? That will take you from point A to point B. Third one could be, are they running empty, right? Are they running their trailers empty to pick up, products? So I think these are all the, very minor things that can really have a significant impact on enhancing sustainability or achieving the sustainability goals. So providing tools like, what's the average distance, right? How much, time are you running empty? What is the estimated emissions by mode, by lane? These are all the things that people are starting to care about, companies are starting to care about. And I heard about the slack in supply chain That is something, that is getting amplified these days because of the shift in the demand patterns, right? You might be, always shipping from a DC to the store, but now store volume, sales has gone down and it's more online. So now you have to immediately shift, right, from a different DC. So all those things are disrupting the transportation networks, which means, right, you're not taking the most efficient route, you're running empty. And all this disruption that we have seen and that we are seeing, continue to see, it is all impacting, right, emissions and sustainability. So people are all dying to figure out what is the baseline, how has it changed, what can we do to make it better. So huge topic, big topic for us.
Thank you. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm certainly a bit buzzworded out. Though I have to say, I think it's teased out some incredible insights into how customers might think and the incredible differences that your businesses and your solutions can make for them. So let's finish by giving all of you the opportunity to illustrate what you do, maybe to talk about a customer use case or just simply about what you do, but maybe just an illustration that shows our viewers the sort of differences you can make with your products. So I don't know who might be ready to go first. Has anyone got anything they want to talk about straight away? Or shall I select somebody and put them on the spot? Guido.
Come on, I was about to say, you've enjoyed that so much to put us on the spot. So there you go. So who wants to start?
You start, Guido. You start, Guido.
Oh, exactly. The first one moves losers. It's like in poker. No, there you go. I actually appreciate it, and I really love what we're doing. So
we'll give you the last word then. So you do your, then I'll give you the last word at the end.
All right, excellent. And no, what we basically do is, our customers, we have a lot of retailers, brands that have, global sourcing requirements, that have global supply chains, that source a lot from the Far East. What we basically do is, it's a cloud-based technology. And we basically take the PO and we replicate any kind of touch point of a PO in a global supply chain. By having said that, so we take the PO and then we connect forwarders, suppliers, factories, testing labs. They're all basically connected in the portal, in the customer portal. So if you, for example, think of our customer Zalando in Germany, in Berlin. So any kind of, style and product they source, they track with our software, but they don't only track it, but they collaborate with their supply chain partners. We have a management by exception principle, so they can actually see who needs to do what particular job, what certain point in time, and that's very important. So to really, enhance collaboration, exchange information, and this is what we feel is a different level of transparency that you get because you really integrate with your supply chain partners, and put the ideal workflow in there, and then said, okay, if the goods have to be, at the customer or in the warehouse, what are particular steps that need to be done, and who needs to do them, and what certain point in time. And that drives great value. And having said that, as we now have then all the suppliers, in the in the portal, then we learn from our US customers to say, like, well, can we do such social compliance issues? And we said yes. So why don't we replicate the cascade of the supply chain? So who are the factories? Where are some other materials that are being used for production? Where are they being produced? Are social standards being complied with? And so it's a very comprehensive suite in terms of supply chain management that we offer there. And we ourselves have gone through a digital transformation ourselves, so that's why I know a lot about it, and know all the pains, and a lot of customers give us kudos for that, is in order to really have this, that's why I say API, to have like a very standardized, we call it a best practice offering that we can say. Because that really drives value. It's easier for everyone around the world to understand and to comply with your workflow, to basically get the best job done.
Yeah. Well, I understand that a lot better I understand that a lot better, Guido, from you talking about it today. So thank you for that. Vladimir, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So basically, my company, Firstline Software, we are, from one side, we are a software engineering company. So we develop a lot of different software solutions for our clients worldwide. And it's not only in the supply chain, it's also in, for example, for retail, what is important at the moment is digital marketing, all this kind of, omni-channel stuff, a customer journey management, and so on and so forth. But talking about supply chain, of course, one of the key topics for us is warehouse logistics. And here we are partnering with a German-based company, Star Software, and we are facing with new normal some new challenges, because, for example, I want just to share with you our probably one of the newest projects we just finished was also about implementation of WMS, and it started in a normal time, but it's ended in new normal time. And what was the challenge basically when we are doing a integration of WMS, when we are finalizing the project, we are always spending a couple of weeks on site, supporting the warehouse people, supporting IT department, doing all this integration management, so on and so forth. But due to pandemic time, we had no chance to visit them. We had to stay at home and somehow to finalize the project, because clients need it. They need to start their new warehouse. They need to move forward. And basically, we did a lot of changes inside of our processes. So we changed a lot of training procedures. We changed a lot our communication plan with them. We did a lot of, like kind of video reviews of the warehouse, how it works. In fact, to be able just to realize what's happening inside there without visiting it. So a lot of things changed for us as well. So and for us, it's important to keep agile, but because I suppose that a lot of new change will come in the nearest future, because this new normal time will keep on pushing us, new challenges and new features, and we need to be prepared. And good for companies and our clients and clients of colleagues who are already digital or on the way to be digital, because for them, all these challenges will be, I would say, easier to manage rather than to companies who stayed in the old time.
Thanks, Vladimir. Okay, Matthew.
Yeah, so we are a real-time supply chain visibility platform. We are global, multi-modal, beyond transportation, right, in the yard, warehousing, and everything else. And the real goal, for Kites is to really provide insights into where things are at any given time, and also provide recommendations as to what they should be doing to really deal with an impending disaster if that's going to happen, right? So really providing that prescriptive recommendation based on real-time visibility. That's what we do. And it includes a lot of, data collection, right? Big data, machine learning, all those buzzwords. That's all behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, you have to simplify it for your clients to solve business problems. So take all this data and build applications using the data to really solve very specific business problems, whether it is how to manage the labor at a store, right, based on the incoming truck arrival, or how to, dynamically do the slot booking based on the truck arrival, how to do the sequencing of picking and packing and staging inside the warehouse based on the ETA. So it's all about building applications using this real-time visibility. That's what we do for global clients.
Thank you very much. Diana?
Yes, so Sixfold and Transporion platform. We are the real-time visibility provider, so technically very, very similar to what Matthew already said. The goal, I think, for the customers of the Transporion group is to support them in two key areas. One is optimize all their logistics processes with our software offerings. And the second one is to optimize their matchmaking processes. So actually to make suggestions, who should work together with whom, in which way, to really get the optimal outcome, most sustainable outcome. And maybe I have one of my favorite stories of a customer. It's from March 2020, so first COVID wave hitting Europe. And there it is a very nice example of a customer journey. So we very much focus on embarking with our customers on this journey and sort of leading them, showing them how to use real-time visibility. And they were reaching out to us saying, hey guys, we have a huge problem. It was a big FMCG producer, very important in March 2020. guys, we want to reroute our trucks, but some borders are closed now. Italy is half closed. Some in France are closed. We don't know how to reroute them because we don't know what is open, what is closed, where do they get stuck. And then we actually worked together with this customer to build a real-time map consolidating all the data that we have in an anonymized way. And what came out of that was a map, a border map that we actually made available online free of charge for everyone who wanted to use it. And that was a great example of how we sort of in an agile way interacted with the customer and then got an outcome that really made a difference for these weeks.
Great story, thank you. And Tony.
Hi there. Yes, we've had a very busy year because of the turnaround with COVID and everything else. And talking about buzzwords is digital transformation. We started planning. We do WMS systems, so everything inside the box of a warehouse, and we just go for ultimate efficiency. And one of the things we were finding is that particularly 3PLs and larger organizations were struggling to roll out to multiple sites. So we've actually used digital transformation products to enable that to happen. So we've now got 4 examples of large organizations actually rolling out our software without our help to brand new sites. So we really see the world changing, and we've managed to effect a change because of the configurability of our software. That means that the guys on the ground can actually configure the software for any location, any warehouse, any patterns, any picking patterns, any order patterns, any rule patterns, and they can do that simply. So we've now got guys in the US rolling out remotely, and this has forced us to do this as well because of COVID and we can't travel. So we've actually grown significantly because of our ability to remote implement. And then our clients have taken our remote implementation techniques and started to use that themselves to remotely roll out their own warehouse network. I mean, we've got one guy who's just rolled out 5. We had a guy yesterday who rolled out to 3 sites with 2 massive global brands on his own without any interaction with us whatsoever. So we really see this new world and this new normal as given a lot of advantages that we didn't see 18 months ago.
Yeah. Necessity is the mother of invention, to quote another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guido, I promised you the last word.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I fear that. No, I think I really enjoyed it, first of all. And I hope the audience feels likewise. I think what we really felt is, technology can help. So it is an extreme situation. And for me, the glass is always half full and not half empty. And I know it's really, for many companies, a really tough situation out there, but we can always make the best out of it. And I think we're all here willing to do that, to play our part and talk, exchange information, exchange best practice, and help each other. There's always something good coming out of a really bad crisis.
Absolutely. Well, software, I think, can be quite a dry subject, but it's so important, and you guys have really brought it to life today. If you have any questions, as I say, please do use the live text facility, the chat facility, and we'll endeavour for our panelists to answer those questions for you. But meanwhile, very enjoyable. Thanks to Diana, to Matthew, to Vladimir, to Guido, and to Tony. And I hope I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.